How's it going, guys? Welcome to a brand new featured Archetype video. So in this video we're going to be taking a look at the new Adamatia Archetype, and it's a rock-based deck, which is pretty cool. I know a lot of people have been hyping up Block Dragon to be used in this Archetype, but the only synergy I think that Block Dragon and this deck have in common is that they're all rock monsters. I really don't see Block Dragon having too much of a place in this deck, strictly because it doesn't seem like it has too many earth monsters in the archetype, and at least anything that would sort of have synergy with being banished. It just seems like Block Dragon in this deck could be kind of a brick more than anything, because it seems like the deck has a good enough time on its own, searching out its own cards and things like that. And of course, using cards like Gallant Granite, it's a bit more of a generic searcher, so that card fits a little bit better. But in this video, of course, as we do in all of our featured archetypes, we're going to be taking a look at all the cards in the set, or for this archetype rather, and I'll be giving my opinion on all these cards, and let me know what you guys think about this archetype. Also, before we go any further, if you guys haven't seen already the new Plunder Patrol archetype that was covered through a few other Yu-Gi tubers at the recent Yu-Gi-Oh Community Day in here in North America, discussing and revealing the new TCG exclusive archetype that is the Plunder Patrol, coming out in Ignition Assault on the 30th. If you guys want me to make a featured archetype video on them, let me know down in the comment section below, and I will try to get that video out to you guys as soon as possible. Real quick, don't forget to check out Imperium Duelist down in the description below, link to their site and my discount code, which you can use to save 10% off your entire order, and my affiliate link to TCG Player down in the description below. So yeah, don't forget to use that as well. Thank you. Yeah, now you can just get back to whatever it was you were doing. Yeah, there you have it. So the first card we're going to look at is the Adamatia Analyzer. I believe it's Adamatia. I hope at least I'm pronouncing it properly. I'm probably not. Adamatia Analyzer, level 4 rock tuner effect monster, 1500 attack and 700 defense. And it says if only your opponent controls a monster, you can special summon this card from your hand. So it's sort of like a cyber dragon in a sense. And then it says during your main phase, you can excavate the top 5 cards of your deck. And if you do, you can special summon one excavated level 4 or lower non-tuner rock monster. Also place the rest on the bottom of your deck in any order. I like how we're doing a little bit of excavation. This reminds me of Sylvans. That was like the last deck that I could think of that really has used the excavation effect, which of course is different than milling cards off the top of the deck, which I know isn't like an official term, but it might as well be at this point. Dante mill 3, because Dante is he's just an amazing card. But of course, he doesn't excavate. He mills those cards. And what is the difference between excavation? Well, excavation is sort of just revealing the set amount of cards on the top of the deck, and then they don't ever really hit the graveyard, from what I understand, because it says they get placed on the bottom of the deck in any order. So if you milled like a graph and it got excavated, its effect technically wouldn't get activated, I don't believe, since it's never actually hitting the graveyard. I'm thinking in my head that's how that whole excavated mechanic works. But I mean, so overall it's a free special summon if you're going second, and it also has the possibility to special summon a level 4 or lower non-tuner rock monster when you excavate using that effect, and could allow you to bring out one of this deck's really powerful synchro monsters that we'll take a look at later. So this card definitely seems pretty solid. Right, so there's like 3 explorers, I guess, for this archetype. You have the Researcher, you have the Analyzer, and then you also have the Seeker. So the next one we'll take a look here as the Adamatia Researcher. This is a level 2 rock tuner effect monster, Earth, of course. The other one I do believe was Earth. And the Researcher, the Analyzer, and the Seeker are all Earth, but the other cards you're milling, the sort of the minerals of the archetype, are all different attributes. You have wind, fire, and water. And this, again, is one of the reasons why I don't think Block Dragon would fit too well. But again, it's excavating. I just think people are getting the synergy mixed up just because Block Dragon can search rock monsters. But of course, that's only when he leaves the field and gets to the graveyard, which means you banish 3 Earths from your hand or grave, and then you've linked them off into something, and then you're triggering his effect to search these off anyways. I mean, maybe it could work in some sort of build, but I'm just kind of struggling to see the synergy right now. Maybe when I look at like a Lithium video later, maybe he's going to be playing there, but again, I don't know. I doubt it. I doubt it. But anyways, this card says if you control a rock monster except itself, you can special summon this card from your hand, and then during your main phase, you can excavate the top 5 cards of your deck, and if you do special summon one excavated level 4 or lower non-tuner rock monster, Also place the rest in the bottom of the deck in any order. So sort of the same theme here. You can special summon the Analyzer if your opponent controls, if only your opponent controls a monster. So you can summon that card out for free essentially, and then be able to follow up by special summoning this card immediately, because you would then control a rock monster other than the Researcher. And then you can sort of activate the same effect. And now this deck is just trying to do one thing, and it seems like it can do one thing really well, and that's Synchro Summon. And that's really, really good because some of these synchros are really, really good, especially the water one, which may or may not have some general use in Mermail, which we'll get to in a moment, of course. But again, being able to special summon any level 4 or lower non-tuner rock monster, and all the other non-humanoid main character looking monsters in the deck are non-tuners, and they're all level 4. They look like gems, sort of, that have like the spirits of the synchro monsters like encapsulated within them. So it looks really, really cool. And then the last one here of the main character look, I don't know why I'm calling them that, but we have the Seeker here, and his effect is as reads. If you control an Adamatia monster except Seeker, you can special summon this card from your hand. And then during your main phase, you can activate the top 5 cards of your deck, and you do. You can special summon one level 4 or lower non-tuner rock monster. Also place the rest in the bottom of the deck in any order. Again, so seemingly you could special summon the Analyzer, then follow up by special summoning the Researcher, and then follow up immediately by special summoning the Seeker, use all of their excavation effects, and possibly go into 3 synchros in one turn. That would require a lot of luck, but maybe you're playing a lot of level 4 or lower non-tuner rock monsters in your deck. You might just have enough, resources, enough probability to be able to pull that off. But essentially, all the main Adamatia monsters, they all get themselves on the board for free, essentially. And they also excavate the top 5 in order to try to get the counterpart to their Synchro Summon. One being level 2, actually 2 of them being level 2 and the other being level 4, which is fine because we have a level 8 Synchro and 2 level 6s. So it kind of works out okay there. And then we have the gem ones here, starting with the water one. If this card is special summoned by the effect of an Adamatia card, you can draw 1 card. So already starting out really solid. Anytime a card like gives you an additional draw in any way, shape, or form, it's always nice because it's essentially just giving you more resources to work with, which is always great in Yu-Gi-Oh! And then if this card is in your graveyard, you can target 1 water synchro monster you control in your graveyard as cost, and then return it to the extra deck. And if you do, place this card in the top of the deck. You can only use each effect of Adamatia Krista Dragite once per turn. So again, this card allows you to somewhat, recycle your synchro monsters, specifically water synchros. And I believe all the effects, at least the secondary effects, are very similar. With all the secondary main decked monsters, they all have that similar recycle effect. Which is actually really nice because anytime a deck has built-in recycling capabilities, it allows the deck to have a really, really good grind game. And also can stack the deck as well, to be able to resolve other effects of your other Adamatia monsters. So can allow for some really good comebacks later on turn 3 or 5, whatever it may be. Because I really actually kind of see this deck more as a going second deck based on the effects that I've been reading. And the Analyzer effect also, that card becomes live when you go second. So I think this deck could perhaps be adept at breaking boards. But then we have the Leonite, the Adamatia Krista Leonite. 0 attack, 2200 defense for this one, level 4. Again, much like all the other secondary main deck monsters, all the gems, they all share the same attack and defense stats of 0, 22. And they're also all level 4, which is good. And this says, if this card is special summoned by the effect of an Adamatia card, you can place 1 Adamatia card from your hand or graveyard in the top of your deck. Again, setting up that excavation to make sure you sort of can start to remove some of the luck factor from it. And it's just sort of up to you, and based on how you time and sequence your effects, will allow you to, have your other effects go through to allow you to get into your synchros. And this says, if this card in your graveyard, you can target 1 fire synchro monster you control in your graveyard. Return it to the extra deck, and if you do, place this card on the top of the deck. So again, a similar effect to the water one. And then the wind one, 0, 22, same stats. Rock, this is the Archetype. If this card is special summoned by the effect of an Adamatia card, you can place 1 rock monster from your hand or graveyard on the top of the deck. So again, just allowing to stack the deck to be able to set up future excavation plays so they just go through 100% completely taking out the RNG in most cases, which would make this deck seemingly a lot more enticing out of the gate, because a lot of people might look at it and be like, oh, it's excavation, requires like, am I going to get really lucky? Am I just going to have, match after match where I'm not getting lucky and I'm not revealing any level 4 or lower non-tuner rock monsters? That could be a worry that you might have, but a lot of these cards seemingly taking care of that risk factor, which is really nice. And then again, it has that other effect where if it's in the graveyard, you can target a wind synchro monster you control or in your graveyard, return it to the extra deck, and you do place this card on the top of the deck. So constantly recycling resources, not only back to the extra deck, back to the main deck. Absolutely just fantastic. Then we have 2 main deck spells and 2 main deck traps, and then of course 3 extra deck monsters. No links, just synchros, which is not surprising that they don't have a link because of the new master rule changes, which is great. Synchro deck's going to be able to make a comeback. But then you have that looming dimensional barrier just kind of like on the horizon, putting all of these decks in check, essentially, since everybody's going to have a counter in their side deck somewhere. It's just going to be in the form of that normal trap that you can actually play 6 copies of now, thanks to Trap Trick, which we never had back in Zoo format, which made it much easier to stop Zoo combo if you had a much easier way to get to your dimensional barrier, but I digress. Anyways, moving on, we have the field spell, the Adamatia Analyzer. All rock monsters you control gain 500 attack and defense. So that's pretty nice. The little attack boost is always great. Can't hurt to have that. Once per turn, you can choose up to 5 Adamatia cards from your deck and place them on top of your deck in any order. That is absolutely bonkers. Like, that just makes this deck. Like, you can choose up to 5 Adamatia cards from your deck and place them on the top of your deck in any order. Literally any 5. So you could stack all 3 of the gems, and then if you had all 3 of the other main deck monsters, you could just special summon them all to the field immediately, and then just synchro, and just break boards. And again, the RNG factor of the excavations at this point completely eliminated with a card like this. And not to mention, this card also isn't a hard once per turn. So if you happen to open multiples of these, and you search your deck after you use this effect, and you just play another one, you can reset the top 5 cards of your deck in any order, any Adamatia cards, that is, but that's really all you're really wanting to set to the top of the deck anyways. Really, really incredible. And it just says, yeah, any Adamatia cards, like, so you might, this is just like a weird example, but like you could take a card like Curry Bandit in combination with this, stack some of your Adamatia spells and traps, have Curry Bandit go through the end phase, and be able to add back any of those Adamatia cards that you just stack to the top of your deck with, since Curry Bandit does activate and add back one, I believe, spell or trap that gets activated during the end phase. Now that's really slow, but that's just some cool synergy I figured I'd bring up, because Curry Bandit is a really cool card, I have to admit. But that card is really nice. And I looked at these cards on stream the other night. By the way, link to my Twitch down in the description below. Toss me a follow there, would be greatly appreciated. Streaming every Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. Would love to see you in chat. But anyways, this card is fantastic. I didn't realize it was this good looking back at it. And it also kind of looks like the Dwimmered Path spell card a little bit. The artwork, at least that's the vibes I'm getting from it. But anyways, we have a normal spell, the Adamatia Sign. Basically says target 1 rock monster in your graveyard as cost, special summon defense position. Then if it is an Adamatia monster, you can choose 1 level 4 or lower rock monster from your deck and place it on top of your deck. So again, just adding more consistency to this whole excavation factor. And really the only RNG now I'm seeing at this point is just, did you open the field spell? Did you open the one of terraforming, which may or may not go to 0 in this next ban list, because it's just constantly been, ticking down to lower numbers. I'm not saying it will, but it might whenever we do get that ban list, hopefully soon. Then next up we have the Adamatia Relieve, normal trap. Tribute any number of Adamatia monsters, then target that many cards in the field, +1, destroy them. I mean, it is great removal, but it does destroy and it does target, which, you can't have everything in a trap card. You can't have a Dingirsu, if this effect was similar to Ningirsu, and you could just send a bunch of things and not target them, this trap would be insane. Absolutely, it'd be the secret rare of the set. You'd need a play set, hands down. It is normal, so it is trap trickable, which is really, really good about this. And it targets and it destroys, which, I mean, as Orcus moves out of favor once the the Secret Slayer set comes out, which is the set this is going to be coming out in, which I believe will happen sometime before Nationals. You know, Orcus might not be too relevant at that point. You might not have to worry about Ding and Colossus protecting their field, and decks might actually be vulnerable to destruction again, which really hasn't really been a thing for a long time, so long as Colossus and Dingirsu and Baylynx have just been dominating destruction. And, you know, Sky Striker really doesn't want you to destroy their cards either, because then Ray just comes out and says hello, and you know, triggering another end-phase Shizuku and things like that. Then we have Resonance, which is the counter trap. Thankfully, it's not searchable, because I'm kind of sick of seeing searchable counter traps as of late. You have Salamangreats doing it. You know, you have Sky Striker grabbing Widow Anchor, which might as well be a counter trap. And then, of course, who could forget Orcus with their Crescendo. So I'm glad that this isn't searchable, and I'm glad it's also not an all-around negate. It just says when a monster effect is activated while you control an Adamatia Synchro monster, negate the activation, you destroy it. So it does have a bit of a harder activation requirement, but then again, you know, for Roar, you need a Salamangreat Link. For Orcus, you need an Orcus Link. So not really being too restrictive, as opposed to some of the other counter traps we've seen as of late in the meta. And then we have the Synchros. This is the first Synchro we're going to look at. This is the water one. The Adamatia Rise, Dragite, level 8, Rock Synchro effect, 3k, 22 respectively, so it's looking pretty beefy out of the gate. Artwork looking very cool. 1 tuner plus 1 or more non-tuner monsters, so it is generic level 8 Synchro. Always love to see that. During your main phase, you can activate the top 5 cards of your deck, and if you do, you can return cards your opponent controls to the hand up to the number of rock monsters excavated. So this, in combination with the field spell, you could return up to 5 cards. So yeah, it is a compulse times 5, potentially, is what this card could do. That you heard that right. It is a compulse times 5. If you combo with the field spell, because the field spell can stack 5 cards, and then it's going to bounce 5 cards. That is really good. That is removal. That's making Dingirsu look a little weak. I'm not gonna lie. That's making Dingirsu look a little weak. This card is really, really strong. But then it gets even better. And then also you place the activated cards on the bottom of the deck, so that just happens regardless of all the other effects. But then it says when your opponent activates a spell, trap card, or effect while you have a water monster in your graveyard, you can quick effect negate the activation if you do destroy that card. So this is the implications I was talking about, how it could be played in Mermails, because it is just, most cases you'll have a water monster in your graveyard if you're making this. At least in Mermail anyways. Technically not always going to be the case in Adamatia. You might not get it if you don't excavate the water level 4, which might just be bad luck at that point. But then again, in combination with the field spell, there really is no luck involved, so could be very easy to get into and 100% set up that interruption there on top of the counter trap that it has, on top of the other trap. And I can see now how people are comparing this deck to the Ritual Beast deck, because they all kind of have their tamers and then the big extra deck monsters that come out. So I can see the similarities there. Then we have the other Synchro. This is the level 6. This is the Leonite, the corresponding with the red gem. The Rock Synchro effect, 24, 22 respective stats, 1 tuner plus 1 or more non-tuner monsters. Same thing as always. During your main phase, you can activate the top 5 cards of your deck, and if you do, add 1 excavated Adamatia card to your hand. Also place the rest of the bottom of your deck in any order. So this one can grab any Adamatia card and add it to your hand, which is really, really great. And then it says, during your opponent's turn, if you have a fire monster in your graveyard quick effect, you can target 1 rock monster in your graveyard, special summon it. So that is really nice. And also, the Synchro is a rock monster. The water Synchro is a rock monster. So you could just revive that rock monster, that Synchro, back during your opponent's turn, get a negation as well. Really, really strong. And then, last but not least, the Archetype. Last card that has been revealed for this archetype, at least for the ones that we have available to cover in this video. Level 6, Rock Synchro effect, 22, 28. So it's got a bigger booty on this one. 1 tuner plus 1 or more non-tuner monsters. During your main phase, you can activate the top 5 cards of your deck, and if you do, you can special summon 1 activated rock monster in defense position. Also place the rest in the bottom deck in any order. So just special summons a thing from your deck like that, just really easily. Again, take that whole, like, I have it too. There's the RNG factor, like, oh, what if you don't get the rock? But then the field spell literally just negates that whole factor. Like, the field spell is just so good. And then it says, during your opponent's turn, if you have a wind monster in your graveyard, quick effect, you can target one card in your opponent's graveyard and banish it. So that is really good. That is a call by the grave. That is a shark cannon. However you want to look at it, that's nice. Graveyard removal is always great. So yeah, that is all the Adamatia cards. I think this archetype is looking very, very solid. Will it be tier 1? Hard to tell. It is a primarily synchro-based archetype, which means it will be weak to the dimensional barrier. Not to say that is the end-all be-all of side deck cards. It doesn't seem too prone to hand traps because it is doing a lot of excavating. Ash, I see, could stop some things. But overall, looking like a very, very solid archetype. Coming out in the Secret Slayer set, could very easily be tier 1.5. And yeah, that's going to do it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Leave a like if you did. I tried filming this video in a bit of a different format than the typical, what is the series called? Than the typical featured archetype videos that I normally do, where I'm just sitting on my desk and doing Yugioh Pro. So I figured I'd mix it up a little bit, and let me know if you guys like it. So feedback down in the comments below, and let me know what you guys think about all these cards. Are you guys excited to pick it up? I'm actually kind of tempted to pick it up just to play as its own thing, and then also tack that water synchro into Mermail. And yeah, hope you guys having a good one. As always, WinterKill signing out. We'll see you guys in the next one.